My name is Harold Emerson. I'm 68 years old, and most days I wake up before the birds remember they're supposed to sing. That morning was no different. The old GE refrigerator, the same white bulky thing I bought in 1998, buzzed like a tired mosquito in the corner of my narrow kitchen. I poured myself coffee from the $12 drip machine I'd repaired more times than I could count. Its plastic lid didn't close anymore unless I pressed it with my thumb while brewing. A small ritual of resistance, I suppose. At my age, rituals mean more than they should. 2 slices of toast, slightly burnt because the toaster leans to the left, and the news murmuring from the television balanced on a milk crate. Channel 7 reported another accident on Route 41. My house sits 100 yards from that road. Some nights the trucks roar so loud my dead wife, Marjorie, would wake up complaining in her sleep. I still sometimes turn toward her side of the bed to apologize. Old habits, old ghosts. I live in a 1-story beige home with sun-faded shutters and a crooked mailbox that refuses to stay straight. The carpet was here when we moved in 33 years ago. Pale blue once, the color of forget-me-nots. Now it's more sad storm cloud. I keep meaning to replace it, but the idea of wrestling furniture alone makes my knees ache. After breakfast, I walk to the garage. Not mine, the town garage where I work 3 days a week to stay busy and convince myself I'm still useful. They let me handle the small things now. Oil changes, simple diagnostics. The occasional elderly customer who insists only Mr. Emerson knows how to adjust their finicky Buick carburetors. The younger mechanics treat me like a relic. They're polite, the way people are polite to old dogs. But work is something. Work is noise that keeps loneliness from echoing too loud. On my way out that morning, I saw the yellow sticky note my daughter, Andrea, left on my mailbox the previous night. Dad, don't forget Saturday. Dinner at 6. We need to talk. We need to talk. Those 4 words have never meant anything good in the history of the English language. I slid the note into my jacket pocket and told myself it was probably something harmless. Andrea always worried too much. Dad, don't eat too much sodium. Dad, you need more light bulbs in the hallway. Dad, maybe we should handle your bills now. She has a way of wrapping her worries in condescension, gifting them like little bombs. Her husband, Mark, has no such subtlety. He's a man who walks like the world owes him a wider sidewalk. Designer shoes, watches he polishes more often than he talks to me, and a voice that always seems to carry a complaint. He made good money in business logistics, though I never understood exactly what that meant. A lot of talking from what I gathered, not a lot of listening. 5 years ago, when Marjorie died, they swooped in like well-meaning hawks. Dad, you shouldn't be alone in that house so much, Andrea said. You know the market's good, Mark added. You could live somewhere more manageable. Manageable, another word that meant something like smaller, quieter, less trouble for them. But I stayed, because that house, with its leaning porch, its attic full of Marjorie's mismatched Christmas ornaments, its yard where Andrea learned to ride her bike in circles for hours, was mine. Every board hammered with my own hands. Every crack in the driveway earned honestly. And because there was something else they didn't know, something I'd kept quiet for 27 years. But that comes later. For now, I simply drove to the garage in my rust-red 2005 Toyota Tacoma with a cracked windshield across the lower corner. I told myself I'd fix it someday. Not today. I clocked in, wiped my hands on the rag that never seemed to be clean no matter how often I washed it, and started on a customer's Subaru with a bad alternator. Routine. Familiar. Safe. Around 10:30, during a lull, I sat on the wooden bench behind the garage and took out the sticky note again. The words glowed neon in the weak sunlight. Dinner at 6. We need to talk. What could they possibly need to talk about now? Another loan? They still hadn't repaid the $22,000 I gave them for Andrea's MBA bridge semester, or the $60,000 I gifted them for their first house down payment in 2011. They'd sold that house 3 years later at a profit, but somehow none of that profit found its way back to me. They always had reasons. We have renovations. We have bills. We're trying to grow our business. I used to believe them. Used to tell myself I was helping them build their future. That's what parents do. But the truth is simple. Some people take because they've learned that taking has no consequences. By lunchtime, I talked myself into optimism. Maybe they finally wanted to invite me on a trip or something. Maybe they wanted to help me with repairs. Maybe life wasn't always a slow narrowing of hope. I'm foolish that way. Even at 68, I'm capable of hope that feels like a bruise. At 5:30 that evening, I stood in my bathroom, combing my thinning hair, wearing the only shirt Andrea ever complimented. A blue flannel, she said, made me look cozy, like a grandpa should. I haven't been a grandpa. She and Mark have no children. They claim to be too busy building the foundation first, whatever that means. Somehow the foundation always seems to involve me. I locked my front door and pocketed the keys, thinking it's just dinner. It's probably nothing. But Marjorie always said I was terrible at reading signs, and the first crack in my quiet life had already formed. I just hadn't seen it yet. Andrea's house sat at the top of a freshly paved cul-de-sac, the kind of place where every lawn looked professionally trimmed and every porch light was the same shade of warm gold. Even the air smelled expensive, like cedar mulch and new money. I parked my Tacoma between a Tesla and a Range Rover, feeling like the guest who arrived were in the wrong century. Through the bay window, I saw Mark tossing something into a sleek stainless steel trash bin, and Andrea flitting from stove to kitchen island, rearranging plates with a frantic precision she reserved for impressing guests who weren't her father. When she opened the door, she smiled too quickly, too wide. "Dad, right on time." She hugged me lightly, the way people hug coworkers on their last day before retirement. Mark didn't bother standing. He gave me a two-finger wave from the couch. "Harold," he said flatly. "No, Dad. Never, Dad." The dining table was set like a magazine spread, candles, cloth napkins folded into shapes, plates that probably cost more than my monthly utilities. A roast chicken steamed in the center, surrounded by side dishes carefully portioned into overpriced ceramic bowls. "Everything smells wonderful," I said, because I was raised to be polite. Andrea beamed like she'd prepared a feast for royalty. Mark merely stabbed at his phone, the light illuminating his indifferent expression. We sat. I placed my cloth napkin on my lap, trying not to spill anything on the immaculate table runner. Andrea poured wine, a bottle I didn't recognize, with a French label featuring a vineyard I'd never visit. Mark cleared his throat, a small rehearsed sound. My stomach tightened. "So, Dad," Andrea started, voice soft, "wanted to ask you something." Not ask, I thought. More like take. Mark leaned forward, elbows on the polished table. "We need some financial help. An investment, really." I didn't answer. I cut into my chicken, which tasted like nothing and everything, like the prelude to a conversation I wasn't ready to have. "We need $48,700, Andrea continued, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "It's for a business opportunity. Something huge. High return. Low risk." My fork paused midair. "Andrea, that's a lot of money." "It's really not," Mark interjected. "Not if you think long term. It's practically pocket change in today's economy." He took a sip of wine, his tone carrying the kind of arrogance only people who've never gone hungry can master. "Besides, it's not like you're doing anything with your savings." The room went cold. Andrea rushed in. "Honey, that's not what he meant." "Yes, it is," Mark said calmly. "Let's not pretend." I looked at my daughter. Really looked. She didn't meet my eyes. "And this opportunity," Mark continued, "won't wait. We need the capital by Friday." "Friday?" I laughed. A short, dry sound. "You're asking for $50,000 and giving me 4 days?" Mark shrugged. "People who think fast get ahead." Then he added, "You can finally contribute to something meaningful." I took a long breath. The chicken grew cold on my plate. Andrea reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. "Dad, we've done so much for you. Shopping, checking your mail, helping with your appointments. You know we're here for you." A list of kindnesses thinner than the napkins on the table. "And now we just need you to be here for us," she said. There it was, the first crack widening. I gently pulled my hand away. "Andrea, I can't give you that kind of money. Not now." Her smile froze, then cracked. Mark set down his glass with a loud clink. "You can," he said. "You're just choosing not to. That's not fair." "What's not fair," Mark countered, leaning back, "is that we help you more than you help us. You live alone in that old shack while we struggle to build a future." Andrea's cheeks reddened. "Dad, we're trying so hard. The least you could do is—" "Enough." My voice came out quieter than theirs, but sharper. We finished the meal in silence, the three of us chewing the same bitterness. After dinner, I excused myself and walked toward the door. Andrea followed, her voice thin with forced affection. Think about it, okay? For us? I nodded, though not in agreement, just in exhaustion. But as I reached the foyer, something caught my eye. A stack of documents on the side table, held down by a decorative glass bowl. The top page showed a real estate company's logo, Goldstone and Miller Realty, and beneath it in bold letters, projected property sale, 112 Maple Hill Road. My address. I froze. Andrea noticed too late. Oh, that's nothing, she said quickly. Just research. Mark wants to understand market trends. Right? Trends. The paper listed estimated sale value, $550,000 to $585,000, depending on cosmetic updates. My blood chilled. I folded the page back under the bowl and said nothing. Andrea exhaled with relief. Relief that I had not asked questions. Relief that I had not understood. But I had understood. I always understand more than they think I do. I walked out into the night air, cool and bright, with distant headlights. My Tacoma felt smaller than usual. The steering wheel colder. My house, when I reached it, looked suddenly fragile, like something the wind might take if it blew too hard. They needed $48,700. But what they really needed, what they were already circling, was something else entirely, something bigger, something I wasn't ready to face yet. The first crack had opened, and I felt it spreading. The next morning started like any other. Weak coffee, burnt toast, the hum of the refrigerator holding on to life by sheer stubbornness. But the silence in my house felt different, heavier, as if the walls themselves were watching me, waiting for me to admit what I already knew. Andrea and Mark weren't just asking. They were circling. I sat at the kitchen table with my mug cupped to my hands, staring at the wood grain. That table still had a scratch from when Andrea, age 4, tried to carve her initials into it with a fork. I'd acted shocked back then, but secretly I was touched she wanted to leave a mark on something I'd built. Now she wanted to take it. Around 9, my phone buzzed. Andrea. A text. Dad, sorry about last night. Love you. Let's talk soon. The kind of message people send when they realize they pushed too hard and want to reel their praying gently. I didn't reply. Instead, I went about my day, fixed an alternator at the garage, ate a bologna sandwich on the back bench, listened to the younger mechanics complain about gas prices. Normal things. Grounding things. But the real estate document haunted me like a whisper in the dark. After work, I stopped by the grocery store and bought a single can of soup, 2 apples, and a loaf of bread. The cashier, a teenager with purple hair and nails so long she could barely touch the register, bagged everything like it might break. Senior discount applies, she said cheerfully. I nodded. The discount tasted more like pity than savings. At home, I heated the soup, sat down, and tried not to think. I failed, because at exactly 7:14 p.m., my phone rang. Andrea again. Before I could answer, it rang a second time, a video call. Unusual. She rarely called twice. I sighed and tapped accept. Her face filled the screen, flushed, eyes sharp with urgency. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking slightly off-screen, as if talking to someone else. Just be calm, she said. I'll do it. We just have to. Andrea, I said. She froze, then plastered on a smile so fake it practically squeaked. Dad. Hi. Sorry, I didn't know the call went through. Behind her, I heard a low male voice. Mark. Is he on? Did he answer? Put him on speaker. Andrea's eyes darted sideways. Not now. But it was too late. Mark stepped into view, holding a folder of documents, thick, official-looking, with blue tabs on the edges. He didn't even pretend. Harold, good, he said. We need to finalize something. Andrea hissed. I told you. But he bulldozed right over her. We talked to a property attorney yesterday. My stomach dropped. And we've drafted everything, Mark continued, flipping the folder open with the kind of confidence thieves must feel when the door is already unlocked. A document with my name in bold at the top flashed on screen. Durable power of attorney. Property and financial matters. I felt my breath catch. Mark kept talking. We'll bring it over for you to sign this week. It's just a formality. Makes everything easier. Easier for what? I asked slowly. Andrea jumped in quickly. Too quickly. Dad, it's just to help manage things. You know, bills, property or estate planning. My estate. My voice was quiet. Very quiet. Mark nodded, completely unfazed. The house is worth at least 500 grand right now. More if we fix the porch and replace that roof of yours. We've already talked to a realtor about the timeline. I stared at him. Andrea avoided my gaze. Mark continued, the market's hot. We should list by June at the latest. The attorney says once we have the power of attorney signed, we can move forward without any delays. I repeated. Andrea swallowed. Dad, please don't make this difficult. Mark leaned in, his face filling the screen. Look, Harold, you're not using the house to its potential. It's too much for you. You don't need it. You'll be better off in a managed community. A what? My heart thudded bitterly against my ribs. A senior facility, Mark said plainly. A nursing home essentially. Not low end. Something decent. Decent. Like I was a used couch they were trying to place in a better corner. I couldn't speak. They took my silence for hesitation, not horror. Andrea reached for the phone, adjusting the angle so I saw her fully. Her expression softened in that tired, practiced way she used when she wanted something big. Dad, she said gently, you have to trust us. We're doing this for your own good. And then, as if fate wanted to make sure the knife went all the way in, I heard Mark mutter off screen. He'll sign. Old people always sign if you phrase it as help. That was it. The moment the truth solidified, like cold iron. They weren't waiting for me to die. They were planning around it. Andrea must have realized the call was still connected properly, because she lunged to end it. The screen went dark. I sat at a table, soup untouched, spoon halfway to my mouth. I felt nothing for almost a minute. Then everything hit at once, grief, anger. Betrayal so sharp it tasted metallic. I pressed my hands together until my knuckles turned white. They wanted to sell my house, put me in a facility, control my accounts, control my life. And they were already acting like it was decided. But they didn't know one thing, something I'd kept private for 27 years, since the year Marjorie and I made a pact to never depend on anyone but ourselves. They didn't know about the account, the savings, the insurance payouts, the investments, the nest egg that had grown quietly and steadily, untouched. They didn't know I wasn't helpless. Not yet. I stood up slowly, walked to my bedroom, and pulled from the back of my closet an old leather folder. Worn, scratched, smelling faintly of time and dust. Inside were documents they had never seen, could never imagine. Their plans were moving, but so was mine. And for the first time in months, I felt awake. I didn't turn on the lights as I walked through my own hallway. Funny thing, when darkness comes from outside, it feels natural. When it comes from inside your own home, it feels like a warning. I sat on the edge of my bed, the leather folder resting across my knees like a sleeping animal. The weight of it wasn't heavy, but the meaning was a lifetime condensed into paper. When Marjorie and I started this account 27 years ago, we didn't think of it as secrecy. We called it insurance against life surprises. Back then, the surprise we feared most was me losing the job at the plant or her falling ill in a country where any illness can bankrupt you faster than a fire. We never imagined the surprise would be our own child. I opened the folder. Certificates, deposits, old pay stubs, handwritten ledgers in Marjorie's neat, looping script. The earliest statements, so low they practically whispered, "Don't laugh. We'll grow." And grow they had, not because of luck, but because of stubbornness. We saved quietly, when the world wasn't looking. When Andrea was young and money was stretched thin, I worked side jobs at night, fixing lawnmowers, replacing brake pads, patching driveways, and deposited every extra dollar into the shadow fund, as Marjorie jokingly called it. Funny how quickly my house became our house when their plans were slipping through their fingers. I didn't answer any of the calls. Silence was my new currency, and I intended to spend it wisely. By Wednesday, 3 buyers had toured the house. Judith walked through each, showing like a general marshaling troops. "This is solid construction," she said. "This porch, easy fix." The owner kept every record. Immaculate. I stood in the background, hands folded behind me, watching strangers admire rooms I used to fill with laughter and burnt Sunday pancakes. When the full price offer came, $612,000, no contingencies. Judith brought over the paperwork with a smile sharper than scissors. "You're free, Harold," she said. "You signed this today, and they can't touch a hair on your head." I signed slowly, deliberately, the way you do when you want the universe to hear it. The next day, the sale was final. Just like that, the house Andrea had tried to steal was no longer mine to lose. I moved out early Saturday morning. I didn't take much. A suitcase of clothes, Marjorie's photograph, the leather folder, and my dignity, something I hadn't felt in a long time. The moving van left first. Then I drove away in the Tacoma, watching the house shrink in my rearview mirror until it became nothing but geometry and memory. Before I left, I taped a letter to the door. Short, simple, unmistakable. "Andrea, you made decisions about my future, so I made decisions about my own. Dad." No anger, no pleading, just truth. I didn't sign it with love, not out of spite, but because you can't attach a sentiment to someone who tried to sell your life out from under you. I was 3 hours away, setting boxes into my new little Riverside apartment, when Andrea's number flashed again. This time I let it ring 4 times before rejecting the call. Let her feel the way I'd felt, ignored at the table of people who claimed to care. A minute later, a text came through. "What did you do?" "Dad, the keys don't work." Then another. "There's a sold sign outside." And then the one that told me everything. "Did you sell the house? Without talking to us?" I sat on my new secondhand couch, a bit lumpy, a bit faded, and felt something unfamiliar. Relief, pride, peace. My phone buzzed again. Call from Andrea. Call from Mark. Call from Andrea. Call from unknown Mark's work number. Decline, decline, decline. Let them stew. Let them scramble. Let them taste desperation. For once, I wasn't the one drowning. Around 6 that evening, as I was unpacking my kitchen, the building manager knocked. "Mr. Emerson, there's a very upset couple downstairs asking for you." I closed my eyes and inhaled deeply. "Tell them," I said, "that Mr. Emerson no longer accepts unannounced visitors." He blinked. "Should I tell him to leave?" "Yes," I said, stirring sugar into my tea. "Please do." From the window, I watched Andrea pacing the parking lot, shouting into her phone. Mark hovered behind her, red-faced and gesturing like a man accustomed to getting everything he demanded. They looked small from up here, like figures on a stage performing a tragedy they wrote themselves. Eventually they left, angry, confused, powerless. Not my problem anymore. By late evening, Judith confirmed the wire transfer had hit my trust. Over $600,000 sealed in a protected account that only I controlled. Combined with my secret fund, the total felt surreal. $1.39 million. Money earned, money I kept, money that would now serve me, not the people who wanted to use me as a resource until I was empty. I sat on the balcony of the new apartment, listening to the river slide by in the dusk. The air smelled like pine and water. A neighbor on the floor below grilled something that smelled like basil and garlic. Life felt ordinary again, but in a safe, private, fiercely mine way. I sipped my tea and thought, let Andrea scream. Let Mark plot. Let their plans crumble. Everything they wanted is gone. Everything they assumed is wrong. Everything they tried to take is safe. And tomorrow? Tomorrow would be the day they learned the full truth. Because there was still one more surprise waiting for them. But that belongs to the final part. My first Sunday morning in the new apartment felt unfamiliar. Not bad, just new. The floor creaked differently. The coffee maker gurgled like an old man clearing his throat. The balcony railing was cool when I touched it. The river below whispering a soft, steady shushing sound, as if calming a crying child. The kind of sound that tells you, you made it. You're here now. Breathe. I had just sat down with my mug, instant coffee, nothing fancy, when my phone buzzed again. Not a call this time. An email. From Judith. Subject. Final documents and recording you requested. Recording? I opened the message. Attached was a short audio clip. I remembered immediately. During the closing, when the buyers walked through the house, Judith had been wearing a small lapel mic to capture notes for her office. I'd asked her quietly, if she had any audio of Andrea's meltdown at the property the night before, just to have on file. She did. The clip was only 10 seconds, but 10 seconds can be enough to change everything. Andrea's voice, raw, furious, unhinged, screamed, "He sold it? He sold it? That senile old man had no right. That was our house, our future. He owes us after everything we did for him." Mark's voice followed, lower, full of venom. "We should sue him. He can't just disappear with the money. We deserve that inheritance." Then Andrea again, shrill, "He won't get away with this. We'll make him sign whatever we need." The recording ended with the sound of her kicking something, probably the porch rail, and sobbing. I sat very still, not sad, not angry, just stunned. I forwarded the recording to Bill with a simple message: "Add to the file." Within 5 minutes, he replied, "Already done. This locks everything down. They have no legal standing now, and they know it." A small, soft satisfaction bloomed behind my ribs like a warm ember. Around noon, the inevitable happened. Andrea called. Not frantic this time, not screaming, just tired. I let the phone ring once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered. Her voice broke immediately. "Dad, why did you do this?" I didn't raise my voice, didn't snap, didn't spit fire. I simply said, "Because you didn't leave me a choice." She sniffed hard. "We were trying to help." "No," I cut in. "You were trying to replace me." Silence. Long, heavy, unavoidable silence. Then she whispered, We thought you couldn't take care of yourself anymore. And you thought the house would take care of you." More silence. A truck rumbled across the bridge outside. A bird landed on my balcony railing. Life continued. Finally she said, voice cracking, "So that's it? You're cutting us out." I took a slow breath. "I'm not cutting you out," I said. "I'm stepping aside. There's a difference." "But what about everything you promised? The inheritance?" I closed my eyes briefly. "Andrea, inheritance is a gift, not a salary." She didn't respond. "And it isn't a leash," I added quietly. Her breath hitched, a little gasp, the sound of someone realizing the bridge they burned was the only way across. "Dad, please." "No, sweetheart." My voice was soft, steady. "Not this time." She tried once more, a fragile, trembling attempt. "We're still your family." I looked out at the river, at the sunlight sparkling over the water like broken glass, made beautiful. "I hope someday you act like it," I said. Then I ended the call. I didn't block her, didn't erase her, didn't harden myself into stone. I just let the conversation end where it needed to. By sunset, I had unpacked most of the apartment. A box of books here, a blanket folded there, a small plant on the sill, leaning toward the light like it was rooting for me. I made a pot of vegetable soup, sliced a piece of bread, and ate by the balcony door with the sound of the river steady and slow. No tension, no begging, no fear waking me at 3 a.m. Just the quiet life I'd earned. My accounts were locked. My property was safe. My legal protections were ironclad. And my future, for the first time in years, belonged only to me. I thought of Marjorie then, her voice, her laugh, her hands stitching curtains in the living room of a house now owned by someone else. I whispered, "I did what you'd have wanted." The wind moved lightly across my cheek, almost like a touch. Maybe it meant nothing, or maybe it meant everything. I washed my bowl, dried it with a towel, and turned off the kitchen light. The apartment hummed gently around me, safe, humble mine. And as I settled into my armchair, listening to the soft symphony of water and night, one thought came with perfect, peaceful clarity. They tried to take my life from me, so I took it back. The rest, as they say, is quiet, and quiet finally is enough.